everybody, welcome or welcome back to my channel. My name is Lottie and today we're doing round 7 of the TBR Scrolls. Yes, it's that time of the month again where I pick the books that I'm going to be reading in the month, picking my TBR, hence the TBR game. But before I can get on with what books I'm going to read in July, let's have a look at what I read in June. So in June I participated in 2 readathons and they were Marvelathon, which was created by Lisa from Lisa Does Live, and Whatever You Want-a-thon, which was created by Maddie from Book Browsing Blog. So the books that I picked for June kind of related back to the prompts for those readathons. We also had 4 books to read for my TBR Scrolls TBR. So the first prompt we got was Riften, which was to read a book with an urban setting, and for that I chose Clockwork Angel, and I'm still currently reading this one. Then I pulled the Imperial Legion card, which was to read a TBR veteran, and for that I chose The Host, and I haven't read this one yet. Then I got Zenithar, which was to put my Goodreads TBR shelf from highest rated to lowest rated, and for that I got Percy Jackson and the Lightning Thief, and I haven't read this one yet. And finally I got Dawnstar, and the prompt for that was to read a standalone, and so for that I chose Tomi, and I have read this one. So out of the 4 books on my TBR Scrolls TBR, I've only read one and I'm currently reading another. So although we have like a week left of June at this point, I don't think I'm going to finish both of them. However, this month I'm not going to take another punishment because I have had a busy month and I have read a lot of other books. If you would like to see my wrap up for June and see the other books that I read during the month, make sure you subscribe so that you can keep an eye out for my June stats and wrap up. So if you remember from my June TBR, I did take a punishment from May and we got the Vampires card, which drained me, meaning that I can't buy any books in July since I've failed this TBR. And you know what, it's fine, I don't need to buy any more books at this point. So I'm going to keep the card up on my shelf for the rest of the month to remind me I'm not allowed to buy any new books. Anything that I've already pre-ordered though does not count because it's already on its way and it's kind of already bought. So any pre-orders don't count. However, I can't just go and buy a bunch of books. And also because I haven't read these 2 books yet, if I do read at least one of them before the end of June, obviously I won't carry it over, but these 2 will both be carrying over into my July TBR if I haven't read them by the end of the month. So with that said and done, let's get on with the rolls for July. If you are new here and you haven't seen an episode of the TBR Scrolls before, then I will leave a link up here and in the description to the playlist so that you can get an overview of the board and the rules and everything that's been going on for the year so far with my TBR. And so, on with the rolls.
Roll number 1. That is 2. And we have a white space.
Okay, so roll number 1 gave us a white space, which means I pick a book from the mystery mug. This basically just has the title of every single book on my own TBR, both physical and digital, and we're just going to pick a book from out of here. So what I always do every single month that I have to use the mystery mug is I'll just tip out all the prompts, chuck them back in to give them a really good shuffle them again, and then pick one. So let's do that now. Okay, it is really full at the moment, which is yet another reason why I don't need to be buying any more books. So let's pick my first book for July. Okay, and so pretties. I have already unhauled this. This was on my These Books Will Self-Destruct TBR from 2021, and so I've already unhauled this one, so I will be choosing something else then. Okay, so let's give this a second go. Oh, okay, one's fell out, so that's the one that the universe has chosen for me. Let's see what this one is. Charlotte's Web! Okay, I'm gonna go grab it. Okay, so this is Charlotte's Web by E.B. White, and this is a classic children's book about a pig and a spider who kind of like develop a friendship with each other. This was one of my favourite books as a little kid, so I'm really excited to finally be rereading it. It's only little, so it shouldn't be too difficult to plough through.
Roll number 2. That's a 6. Adra and Daedra. And we have Namira, the Daedric Prince of Decay. Read a book out of your comfort zone.
So roll number 2 gave us the card Namira, who is the Daedric Prince of Decay, and the prompt on this one is to read a book out of my comfort zone. So for this prompt, I have chosen The Death of Mrs. Westaway by Ruth Ware. This is out of my comfort zone because it is a thriller, and I'm not really a thriller reader. However, I picked this up at the library because I know it's really popular, so I kind of wanted to give it a go. And because it's a library book, it means that I can finally read it and return it, because I've had a few library books out now for a few months and I really need to take them back. Yeah, I don't really know much about this other than I think it's about a woman who inherits a house or something. Because it's a thriller, I don't really want to know too much about it.
Roll number 3, and that's a 3. And that is an Enemies and Monsters card. And we have Frostbite Spider, speed reduced. The venom of a frostbite spider has slowed you down. The number of each roll is halved.
So for roll number 3, I actually pulled an Enemies and Monsters card, and I can't remember if I had decided this originally or if it's something I've just decided now, but basically if I pull one of these cards by landing on a blue space, I'm going to pick another book, so do an extra roll. So for the Frostbite Spider card, it says speed reduced, the venom of a frostbite spider has slowed you down, the number of each roll is halved. So basically when I roll the dice from the rest of this round, whatever the number is, I will halve it. So if I roll a 2, I will move 1 space, and if I roll an odd number, I think I round down. So if I roll a 1, I don't move, but if I roll a 3, I move 1 space, not like 1.5, because you can't do half spaces. So yeah, that's what's happening for the rest of this round.
Roll number 3, part 2. That's a 6, but because the rolls are halved, it's a 3. So 1, 2, 3. People and places. And we have the Bard's College, read a book relating to music or poetry.
Roll number 3 part 2 gave me the Bard's College card, and this says to read a book relating to music or poetry, and I really struggled with this prompt. I thought I'd have more books that were either like about musicians or told in verse. I'm not much of a poetry reader, and I think when I came up with this prompt I kind of wanted it to like encourage me to read poetry. Yeah, that's not going to happen. So I've chosen Checkmate for this by Mallory Blackman, and the reason I've chosen Checkmate is because in the last book in this series, one of the characters was kind of getting started in a job in like music, so I don't know if that's going to carry on in this book, but like because that happened in the last book, I'm kind of bending it a little bit to fit this book in for that prompt. So this is the 3rd book in the Noughts and Crosses series, which in the 1st book we follow Callum and Sephi, who kind of like star-crossed lovers. It's a bit like a Romeo and Juliet thing where they're from different communities and their love is forbidden. Callum is a Nought, Sephi is a Cross, and so they aren't really supposed to have relationships with each other, and they end up falling in love ultimately. And then the rest of the books is kind of just like what happens after they meet and fall in love with each other. I really love this series, and I've been trying to find an excuse to carry on with it because I really want to finish it before the end of the year, and I've only read 2 books so far and I only read 1 book this year, so I really need to get a wriggle on. So yeah, that is Checkmate by Mallory Blackman.
And finally roll number 4, and that's a 6 again, but it's a 3 because the rolls are halved. 1, 2, 3, and that's another white space.
And so the final roll was another white space, and so that means I get to pick another book from the mystery mug. So another one just fell out. That's how full this thing is, so I'm gonna go pick that up and we'll see what it says. Let's see what this one is, and it's upside down, and that says the Sookie Stackhouse Stories. Okay. This is the Sookie Stackhouse Stories, and this is a series of short stories set in the Sookie Stackhouse world. I've read the whole series before, but then I saw that there was a bind up of all of the short stories, and I do already have one of the bind ups, which is this one, A Touch of Dead, but I think this has other ones in it, which is why I picked it up. Obviously I haven't read it yet, so it'll be fun to go back to the world of Sookie. So I think that A Touch of Dead has like 5 short stories in it, and this looks like it has double the amount, so it'd be nice to go back to the world of Sookie Stackhouse and like see all these little short stories depending on like where they take place, I guess, in the overarching plot. If you don't know what the Sookie Stackhouse series is about Sookie, who's a waitress, and she works in this bar well, in the world, like, vampires have come out of the coffin, so everybody knows they exist. She meets a vampire in the bar she works in, and they kind of like develop a relationship with each other, and then a bunch of things happen for the whole series. Each book is also kind of like a mini murder mystery. Yeah, this is a selection of short stories set in that world. Okay, so that is my TBR Scrolls TBR for the month, with the remaining books from June and then the 4 books that I'm going to be reading for July. There are a couple of other books I would like to read in July as well, so I will talk you through those now. So the first one is Clockwork Prince by Cassandra Clare, the second book in the Infernal Devices series, and I want to read this because I am reading the whole Shadowhunters world as a part of By the Angel Along, which was created by Becca from the Becca Fowl. So for July our book is this one, and so I need to read it for the read along. And then I would also love to read This Wicked Fate by Kaylin Bayron, which is the second book in the This Poison Heart duology. It only came out like this week that I'm filming in June, so I'm like really excited to read it. I loved the first book, so I just really want to read it. It's not very long, so it shouldn't be too difficult to squeeze onto the rest of my now looking very chunky TBR. But yeah, that's something else I would like to read in July. And just a quick mention, in July I will be participating in one readathon, and that is Yalkathon, which was created by Kendra and Bookish Gems. I will leave a link to the Twitter for that in the description. I don't really know too much about the logistics of it just yet, whether there's going to be prompts or if it's just like a 72-hour readathon, but basically that's just taking part over the Yalk weekend, because it's kind of for the people who can't go to Yalk to not feel too left out, so that we can like be part of the community still, like, you know, join in with each other, just not physically at Yalk. That weekend I am going away. I'm going to be visiting my friend in Leicester, so I don't know how much reading we'll get done that weekend, but I am going to be like participating in spirit at the very least. So this is the entirety of my July TBR. It's looking really chunky and it is equal to 3,240 pages, which sounds like a lot, but when you break it down it's about 104 pages a day, which honestly I don't think is too much of a struggle, because I tend to read about 100 pages a day anyway, so I do think that I can do it, but we'll see. It is quite a lot, with 2 rather chunky books on there. Checkmate's 500 pages, Clockwork Prince is about 500 pages, so yeah. So yeah, that's my July TBR. So that is it for this video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed it, please do give it a big thumbs up and let me know in the comments down below what you're planning on reading in July. And if you've read any of the books that are on my TBR, let me know what you think of them and what I should read first. But that's it from me today, guys. Bye!